Hey, Claudio, welcome to the Value Driven Marketing Podcast. How is your summer going?
Oh, everything is all right. Thank you very much for the invite. I'm happy to be here and happy to have this conversation.
Thank you for joining. And I was thinking, right, before we jumped in live, you're the first person that I'm interviewing that's actually a radio host. So you have a ton of experience when it comes to audio and doing shows, which is really nice.
I'm doing my best.
And you're also quite modest. And on that note, Claudio, there is a question that I like to, ask every guest on my podcast, and that's about your dream job as a child. Do you still remember what little Claudio hoped to be?
Oh, that's a good question, actually. Um, Obviously, I went through more different phases, and obviously, I went through those 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 jobs that probably most kids wanted to do when when they will become adults, like firefighter, policeman, and everything around this. But I remember two more different and more interesting jobs that I wanted to become when I will be an adult. The first one, I don't know exactly how to translate it. I will say it in Romanian, and then I will try to translate it as best as possible. So basically, when I was around 5 or 6, something like this,
Mhm.
just before I started the school, I wanted to become inginer constructor de cotețe de câini. I think this roughly translates into doghouse or kennel building engineer or something like this, because I remember exactly the day. It was like a late autumn day. It was raining cats and dogs, hence the the builder, the doghouse engineer. And I saw the dogs sitting on the wet pavement, and it was
Mhm.
outside, and I was like, I think every stray dog should have a house, and I will try to build one for them. And in a way, I kind of did it, because I finished as a university. Uh, I finished the zootechnics
Oh, wow.
university. Yeah, basically, I'm an engineer in this area. I never worked in the industry, but 4 years of engineering. And the second one, obviously, it was race car driver. And
Which
again,
you're now doing, I guess.
yeah, I managed to do it. I'm amateur. I'm not a professional race car driver,
Mhm.
but I'm doing my best to live with this very expensive passion of mine. So yeah, I wanted to give a home to all the stray dogs, and I wanted to drive cars.
That
To race.
sounds very nice, and it sounds like you knew what you wanted to do, like you were very focused. This is what I wanted to do. There's no, going back and forth. So let's talk about your background today because we know each other back when you were in the digital space, advertising space. You have a lot of experience. And today you're the co-founder of Milk and Cookies Studio. So tell me a bit about your experience and how did you come to co-found Milk and Cookies Studio?
Oh, that's always a tough question, because I tend to talk a lot about this kind of subjects, because I'm really passionate about it, and it's like it's like my kid.
Mm,
And I love it a lot, and I tend to talk too much about it. So I will try to keep it as short as possible. Almost 11 years ago, I was working as in the sales field in one of the big publishers in Romania, and I was visiting as the salesperson who was selling media space. I was visiting a lot of agencies in Romania, in Bucharest,
mhm,
and probably most of them have this like huge, very opulent and very fancy offices. And I was like,
mhm.
huh, this is so cool. They have like original paintings, and they have rugs on the floor, and they have like free meals and stuff like this. I was like,
That's the dream, free meals, right?
exactly, exactly. And I was like, I want to kind of work in an agency like this. And I tried applying for different jobs. I think 10 or maybe 15 of the large agencies in Bucharest. And unfortunately, since I was not having more experience in the advertising advertising industry, but I was already having a lot of experience in sales, they
Hmm.
were proposing me jobs that were not exactly at the level I was at that moment in my life. So basically, I was hoping for an account manager position, and they all proposed me account executives. Obviously, now I understand why. But for me, at that moment, ego kicked in, and I was like, "Yeah, no, I will not take a position where I get paid less than I'm doing now." And what I said was like, okay, I'll make my own agency. It was ego driven. I think I can do better, and screw you guys, because if you don't want me, I will do it. I will do it myself. So this is the way I started the agency again, almost 11 years ago,
Hmm.
and obviously I had no idea what I was doing, and I had to learn on the hard way, in the hard way, and I had to make all the mistakes available out there. But eventually I learned that a small agency cannot do everything, and we have to choose a niche and become like really, really, really good in that specific niche, in that specific industry, and that specific result that we promised to our clients. So eventually, this is how we ended up doing business to business lead generation services for more expensive uh, products and services, because our the way we do things is not that profitable if you sell like $100 per month
Hmm.
services. Is more efficient, and it brings a better return on investment if you are like, if your services and products are worth $15,000 per year plus. So
So
this is
high
how
ticket
we ended
service.
up here after doing everything possible, everything possible, to make all the mistakes and learn from my experience. This is how we ended up today, again doing business to business, working with SaaS and tech companies, generating leads. And one of our best selling solutions, because basically our website and the way we think our business is made out of two pillars. On one hand, we have the services, which are
Hmm.
pretty clear things that we can do. Um, List building, data enrichment, marketing funnels, landing pages, and everything around it. And on the other hand, because we observed, discussing with clients, with some of them have difficulties understanding how this very specific services that we offer can help them. We created what we call solutions. Then solutions
Hmm.
are
Hmm.
recipes made out of services. And one of the best selling solution that we are having now, it's called social selling, and
Okay.
basically it's a way to generate leads for these B2B tech companies, getting away from the way some of them do it now, like, okay, send 500 emails per day and hope one of the targeted people will answer. We went to the other end, where we choose like 100, maybe 150 people per month, and we do a lot of nurturing, and we try to create a connection, and we try to discuss with them, and we try to start meaningful conversations for our clients, so they can have way better closing rates.
And I love that you said how companies are now doing social selling, because I think in my mind and in many other people's minds is social selling is you go on LinkedIn, you search for a role that's, in your ICP, you connect with that person, and then you start shooting cold emails. Hey, how are you doing? Would you like, I don't know, to do more of X? Are you opposed to getting more leads and things like that? And it feels like very impersonal. It feels like very, everyone is receiving the same message. So I'm very curious to learn what's your view on social selling. How do you see things, and
Mhm.
how do you do things as an agency?
Yeah, got it. First of all, I don't think those people who just go to LinkedIn or go to an email and they start sending what we call me emails, where they
Mm.
call themselves, and it's like we do, we help, we deliver, we sell. It's about the sender instead of being about um, them. And we observed
The
that
receiver.
your industry have these problems, and you can get this kind of results. They don't even do social selling. It worked for a while before
Mm-hmm.
everybody was doing it, and when people used to personalize the messages and respect the other person's, the receiver's time. But unfortunately now it become highly commoditized, and a lot of people are doing it like wrong. I
Mm-hmm.
they are doing it wrong. So basically, social selling for us, it's more like an ethical way of doing cold outreach with
Mm-hmm.
building a lot of report and building a network and building starting meaningful conversation. And as I was saying earlier, and I think it's important because people hate being sold to. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
everybody hates a message or an email or a DM in your inbox where, hey, I see that you exist on LinkedIn. I want to tell you this. Come on, what is this? And our point of view is that we kind of try to do this social selling in the digital area the way we would do networking in real life, because you don't go to an event like a networking event and you hold your wine glass or whatever and go to somebody, hey, I just met you, I'm selling you this, or what
Mm-hmm.
they're selling. No, you start a conversation.
You
So
have
how
to
are
meet the
you today?
person first.
Yeah, what are you doing? What do you do? What are your I don't know, your passions? What's your job? How did you get there? Stuff like this. And you only start pitching when you get invited to pitch, and this is
Mm-hmm.
very
Mm-hmm.
important. You never go on, you walk on the street, you see somebody that has a suit and a tie, and you probably think they could be your ideal customer profile, and you just stop them on the street and you say like, hey, do you want to buy this? Come on. No.
Yeah, you have to build the context first, and give something, build some interest in that person, and then when the time is right. And I love the networking aspect of it, because this is really the first time I hear someone saying like social selling to us is more about networking and making meaningful connections. And I'm thinking this also requires a different mindset on your client's end, where I kind of assume that results don't come very quickly, of course, because networking takes time. It's building a relationship from the scratch. So I'm wondering, do you feel that your approach and social selling in general, is it a good fit for any type of B2B company? Is there a specific, I don't know, type of company that are better positioned to benefit from social selling? How do
Mhm.
you feel?
First of all, I want to, before getting to your question, I just wanted to tell you an experiment that we made, and it
Mm-hmm.
helped us grow a lot. And we already started discussing with our clients, and some of them were like, I don't know if this works, but some of them were like very interested in this. So, starting 2021, so we are in our third year. We do not have sales KPIs anymore. So
Okay. That's
we in our agency, we don't discuss since 2021 about sales KPIs. We are not interested in this because in our point of view, when you have sales KPIs, then you have a lot of pressure on trying to rush things up and try to move people through the sales pipeline too fast and sometimes maybe too shallow. That's why uh, at this moment we only have networking KPIs, and we do this disciplined networking. We call it disciplined networking protocol. Yeah, it's still a process. There
mm-hmm.
are still some steps that we do, but all our KPIs are around networking and meeting new people and trying to establish conversations and connections with people and creating value for
So a KPI would be number of connections, relevant connections, number of started messages, or
it's more like new people that we meet,
okay.
um, new people that we get back to on a at a relevant period of time, because we have like
Mm-hmm.
layers of people. We have the very we have the like something like diamond, gold, and silver connections. And for the people that we really like talking with, and we really think that we can create a meaningful business conversation and relevant relevant meaningful business business relationship. We try to get back to them as valuable as possible, so not spammy every month. Then we,
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm-hmm.
the second tier, we try to get back to them every 2 months, and then every 4 to 6 months for the silver ones. So it's how many opportunities we had to get back again on a meaningful in a meaningful manner to those prospects. And then we have events, and how many people we manage to have um, conversations with. And then we have some KPIs regarding the quality of the interactions that
Mm-hmm.
we have with, how many times we discuss with somebody. And then we have some kind of very basic form that we fill in after every business meeting, where we try to see how that specific conversation went, how that person made us feel,
Mm-hmm.
how meaningful the conversation was, how much value we can bring to the table. And we try to have a scoring, and try to see where there is a more potential again to to have a high value. I know I keep saying high value, relevant, meaningful, but this is our mindset, to have
Mm-hmm.
a very meaningful conversation with them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is how we switched it. Instead of going for sales, like how many people saw our ads or our communication, how many people clicked on it, how many people booked a call, how many people shown that call, how many people booked the second call, how many people requested I don't know, requested a proposal from us, how many people signed. You
Which
know,
is a
this
quantitative dimension, but it doesn't tell you anything about the quality of those booked meetings or you
exactly.
know. But I think it's very courageous to say, hey, let's not be super focused on just numbers, because at the end of the day, volume doesn't really matter in B2B when you're selling, as you said, high ticket services or products. It's really about the relevancy of that connection, and whether that person is really in your ICP and you can actually give something that's meaningful to them. So
Yeah,
yeah.
because people don't want other people to sell them things. People
Mm-hmm.
and experts and people within businesses need people to help them solve problems, solve challenges, and help them grow their businesses. I mean, this is the basic formula, because uh, on one hand, most people in business contexts um, are not that keen to change things because change is hard.
Yeah.
Change requires a lot of energy invested. On the other hand, the market demand and the speed that the speed on which the market changes and adapts and new technologies come in to kind of put a lot of pressure on people to change and improve their operations. So we as again salespeople at the end of the day, networking people, salespeople, service people, consultants, whatever you want to call it, we have to show how the change is more important than
The
the
pain of.
result of the change is more important than and more meaningful than the effort to change something,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard to do it when you don't have at least some basic authority, some kind of report built with the person,
Mm-hmm.
and then to have a clear strategy and a clear proposal why and how and what's in it for you, my dear client, so yeah, that's
Mm-hmm. And
that's
speaking,
how I see things. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask, so speaking of, what is the impact of the change? I was wondering, and you also mentioned going from, doing zombie outreach to doing highly targeted networking. If you have some results you can share, how social selling done your way today works versus, the very generic way of reaching out. Do you have numbers, things you can share?
Hmm. I think I do, but I still failed to answer to your previous question, which was, if I remember correctly, if there are certain companies and certain
Mm-hmm,
that
mm-hmm.
are fitter to be sold.
Thank you for being such a nice guest.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, base yeah, in theory, you can use social selling for almost virtually any type of product and any type of service. But
Okay.
I think that in terms of return on investment, because the return on investment is the most important KPI when we look at this kind of campaigns, due to the increased effort you have to
Mm-hmm.
put into this social selling, and this roughly translates into man hour, because you have to actually do your homework and not try to cut corners, and you actually have to research that person. You have to do a lot of research in terms of the company, which you have to try to do as best as possible to research the competition of your future, hopefully hopefully your future clients, to understand their context, to understand their challenges, to understand exactly what you can do for them, so
Mm-hmm.
this on an average for us takes around 2 maybe 3 hours per company, and in each company we have like two to five possible people that we can approach. So you can imagine that if you take 2 hours for each company, multiply it by 100 companies per month, you have
That's a lot.
200 hours only doing the research. And then somebody else has to do the nurturing, find them on LinkedIn, find them on whatever social media platform. So basically, you have LinkedIn and Twitter. These are more professional and they are more follow based,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because on LinkedIn you can follow somebody and you can connect with somebody in a business context. On Twitter you can follow somebody, while on Facebook or Instagram you have to get send a friend connection request, and it's more friendlier and it's seen as more intrusive on these
Mm-hmm.
platforms, you know and then you have to find them, you have to follow them, you have to see if and when they post something new, if that post it's relevant, if you have something cool and something interesting to comment there, and to try to start conversations, and then to move that conversation in the DM. So this alone takes another 1 hour, maybe 1 hour and a half for each each of the companies per month. You know,
So for
so
each account. Uh-huh.
yeah, so it's very high on effort, effort that is actually time investment invested into these activities. So that time equals a budget, an hourly budget, and that hourly budget equals an investment that the client does into these services. And when you talk about hundreds of hours per month per client, the budgets become really, you know, become higher really fast. And then you have to look like, if I sell 100, 200, $500 per month worth of services, and out of 100 people I sign 10 new clients, that equals this amount. And this amount, this is my profitability, and based on this profitability, the investment I did on this sales part is okay. Then you have to add what's the churn rate, what's the length of the average length of the collaboration, and then what's the lifetime value. And again, you have to fill in some pretty extensive Excel files where you have to see if it's worth it. So
Mm-hmm.
this is a strategy that works better for business to business,
Okay.
um, SaaS or tech companies that are selling products or services that are 10, $15,000 per year plus.
Annual revenue. Okay. So you have to do your math and figure out if it makes sense for you. Otherwise, you might be, investing too much for the return you'll get.
Exactly, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the first you can look at it and say like, okay, my product is like $500 per month, and it costs me $1,000 to acquire a new client, but a new client stays with us on an average 5 years. Then it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Sell
Mm-hmm.
like $5,000 worth of services. You know, you say like, it costs me 2,000, but I get 5,000, but our client only pays us 2 months.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
basically it's a formula. It's a formula that you have to fill in and test it out and see if it makes sense. Because for some of the companies, probably it makes more sense to go for Google ads, Facebook ads, SEO, or I don't know, content marketing and stuff that are expensive as well. They take
Mm-hmm.
time, but they're better for you know, lower monthly cost services and products.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for
That
us,
may.
this moment, it's due to our, sorry to interrupt you. For us, due to our experience, our ideal customer profile, and we've seen that we can generate the most value working
Mm-hmm.
on the software development and the business to business tech companies. Because if they get one or two new clients per month from our lead generation campaigns, then the return on investment, it's like huge. It's
Mm-hmm.
really big, and we know how to do it. I mean, in the past 3 or 4 years, we worked with 11 software development companies, generating leads for them. And now, in terms of numbers, because this was
Yes.
your latest question. Unfortunately, I will use this meh answer, and it
We take my answer as well if they are well argumented.
And unfortunately, the answer is it depends. It depends a
Mm-hmm.
lot on how good the client understands who their ideal customer profile is. It depends on the seasonality. It depends on the markets, and it depends on a lot of things. But as a rule of thumb, for LinkedIn outreach, um, you should aim for around 70 to 75% connection acceptance rate if
Mm-hmm.
you do the first stage, the nurturing stage, if you do it correctly. And then if you do the second nurturing stage again correctly, and you're not pushy, you're not salesy, you just add to the conversation and you try to be as helpful as possible, it should be around 50% out of those 70% that
True.
accepted the connection request, positive reply rate. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we don't take into considerations the replies where I'm not interested, leave me alone. It happens. This is the life. Uh,
Never DM me in your life.
yeah, exactly. Or the people who unfriend you. This sometimes can happen. So 70 to 70% connection acceptance rate, and out of those, around 50% they should have some kind of positive response. At this moment, we are not trying to sell them anything. It's just
Mm-hmm.
to start the conversation and to try to figure out if they have a perceived problem, a perceived need, and a perceived solution over there. And we always try to sell to them the next step of the process. And we start a conversation, and we start selling them a quick get to know each other call, where again we don't try to sell them anything, but
Mm-hmm.
we try to find out and we try to understand what their problem might be, that we can solve it with our specific knowledge and our specific skill set, and we try to sell them another meeting. We don't try to sell them our services directly. So out of 100 people, around 70 or 75 should accept our connection request.
Mm-hmm.
Then half of them should reply. That means around 30, 35 should reply, and out of those, around a quarter, again, if the nurturing and if the networking is done correctly, probably 25% should be in the mindset to jump on a call with you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which
from
is not a sales call, as
which
you
is
said.
not a
It's
sales call. No, it's a get to know each other call, and it should be packed with value for them. So that's why it's important to know them, to know their problems, and to try to give them something in return for their time.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that's very interesting. I think the sales process in B2B, I also used to work in sales, is made of very small micro conversions that get to know each other is one of them. You build trust. You really want to know the person, then there's the next one. So I really love this approach, and I'm curious to know for a company, so a SaaS company or a software development company that hasn't done social selling so far, or they've done it the quantitative way. How would you advise them to start? What is the foundation that they need to set first in place in order to start on the right foot?
I think, yeah, this is fun. Uh, the first thing is to understand exactly who you're trying to sell to. You
Mm-hmm.
know, this is the biggest mistake that a lot of people are doing, trying to sell everything to everybody. Unfortunately, it doesn't work anymore. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think it worked in the past that good, but now more than ever, it doesn't work as much. I mean, I'm not saying in all cases, it doesn't work in all cases, but in most cases, it doesn't work because most likely there is somebody out there who is cheaper than you, maybe better than you, better connected than you,
Mm-hmm.
with more case studies, a better web page, better indexed on Google page, or better on a lot of parameters than you. That's why it's important to know exactly who you're selling to, because this way you can understand what their problems are. Then you can understand how you can solve those problems to them as best and as efficiently as possible and as effective as possible. And then once you understand exactly whom you're talking with, you can talk on their, on their tongue, on their language, and you
Mm-hmm.
can actually connect with them as best as possible. So first step, understand who you're selling to. Then the second step, and this is equally important, is to understand what you're selling, how, what's the impact in their business, what's in it for them. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we are
Mm-hmm.
selling lead generation services to software development companies, and we work best with. I will give you the our example. Um, Lead generation services to software development and tech business to business companies. Our ideal customer profile is the between 35 to 75 employees. Our ideal customer profile is the CEO or the founder,
Mm-hmm.
and between 75 employees to 110 employees is somebody in the marketing and in the sales leadership. It depends, because some of them have mixed roles like marketing and sales manager, some of them have sales manager and marketing manager, some of them only have a sales manager in the team, which also handles some kind of
Mm-hmm.
marketing aspects. Okay, we don't work with companies below 35 employees. We don't work with companies above 110 employees. And our services help them generate leads and grow the business without them adding extra stress, extra headcount, extra costs. And they don't have to hire people, train people into the industry, and have like probably 6 months before that person actually starts to deliver, because we know their industry and we can deliver starting the second month or maybe the third
Oh.
month. It's more
Mm-hmm.
more of a harder industry that they are targeting. But the first month we set it up, and we do the strategy, the approach, the messages, the ideal customer profile, and we find the first companies. In the second month we start to do those nurturing activities and start the conversations, and in the third month we already see some kind of results, and starting the fourth month they already have calls in place. Yeah, so it's clear that
Mm-hmm.
we work with this kind of companies with clear, parameters.
Mm-hmm.
Then who in that company is the stakeholder, and then how exactly do we help them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And once you know exactly this matrix of problem, who you solve the problem, how you solve the problem, how you present that solution to them, it's actually to put in the work and to stop looking for, to cut corners and looking for shortcuts, and actually put in the work. And we did a lot of consulting gigs for smaller companies who did not have the budgets to pay us, but they wanted us to help them start their lead generation processes. And I've seen that for most of them it's more important to, to lock 1 hour, 1 hour in their calendar slot,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
it's 1 hour each and every day, like super consistently, instead of trying to, okay, today I was not able to do this, yesterday I was not able to do this, tomorrow I will work 8 hours on this. No, book a 1 hour slot in your calendar in the morning or whenever after the lunch break or just before you go home, when you finish the work schedule, and do it consistently,
Mm-hmm.
do it every day, and results will come. And s- started this work hour for the social selling with the mindset of a curiosity. I'm curious
Mm-hmm.
to find out more about these people. I'm curious to find out what their challenges are. I'm curious to understand them, and I'm curious to find out more about them. And if
Mm-hmm.
you have this mindset, the right things to do will come. The right questions will be there right on the table, as really fast, because you don't go into a stressful mindset where I have to sell, I have to
Mm-hmm.
convert. It's like so important to sell and to convert. It's more important, again, to find out more about the people and be genuinely interested and curious about them. And then
Mm-hmm.
if you go with this mindset, results will follow, and will follow like rather fast, instead of taking a lot of hours to find email addresses and send emails and burn email inboxes and burn domains and
Mm-hmm.
get a lot of leave me the fuck alone responses,
Mark as spam.
get marked as spam really fast. And also you keep your integrity, and you keep a good, image and in the market. You are
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
that person who actually is curious, and that person who's interested and interesting, instead of that spammy person that,
And
not
the sensation of desperation. I
yeah,
actually love the aspect of being curious about the other person and not being desperate to sell something to them. I have a former colleague who was a great sales guy, and he said, people smell when you're trying to sell to them, and it's not a good smell. So
yeah,
that's an interesting aspect, and I think finding the time and actually the discipline to do it consistently, because every tactic that you're going to try will fail eventually if you're not consistent and you're just doing it every now and then. So I think the consistency aspect is also super important, and working on your business rather than, I have 10 other priorities, maybe I'll do this
yeah.
at the end of. And speaking about putting in the work and being consistent, do you have like a success story of a client that stood out for you, like a client that really got on board with your vision and way of doing things and was like, okay, I'm going to be committed to, my business and to networking the right way, and they had great results from social selling?
Yeah, we've seen it happening. We have more clients who are happy with these services. We actually have a really low churn rate for us. The least amount of time people spend with us is like 2.5 years, and our
Okay.
longest business relationship with the client is like, I think, 7 years now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We don't work with a lot of clients each year. We work like 4 or 5 clients each year, but long term. Um, there are a lot of case studies that we have, but one of them is an automation company, a software development
Mm-hmm.
automation company, and they were having a lot of problems again generating relevant leads, because the market was like super red ocean there.
Mm.
And they used to do back in 2016 or 2017, doing some cold outreach, like really respectful and hyper personalized cold outreach, and now in 2021, yeah, end of 2020, something like this, beginning of 2021, they're like, we tried doing this, and we were used with 5% reply rate, and we only got 0.2 or something like this reply rate now. What we are doing wrong? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
what you're doing wrong is you're trying to use tactics that worked 5 years ago, and implement them now when they don't work that good anymore. So the first thing that we did was to figure out what are the most profitable two verticals that they service
Mm-hmm.
with their solutions, and start building a list with the top 200 companies in those two verticals. And we took over on two of their LinkedIn accounts from the sales team. And this we started doing the nurturing and connecting with people. And for them, we didn't book calls, but we started conversation. So basically our job started, okay, with understanding the strategy behind it and everything around it. List building, finding the right companies, finding the right people in the companies, validating with our clients, and then nurturing, sending hyper personalized and written by a human, not by an AI,
Mm-hmm.
um, intro messages. um, And doing this after we were trying to find, for example, articles in the media wrote by those people, listen to webinars they participated in, um, YouTube videos with them, podcasts with them. Listen to those, get some bullet points from those articles or from those podcasts, and always the messages were around. Look, I listened to this podcast and
Hmm.
feeling
I've
the
actually listened to the whole podcast, not just the very 5 minutes.
exactly. Basically, we were doing everything possible to show to those future, hopefully future clients, that we've put in the work and we understand who they are and what they stand for, what their challenges are. And by doing this, we were able to start conversations. And once that person answered, the salespeople got the conversation going from there. So basically, our job ended when they answered, and we were able to, let me see if I remember this correctly. I think we generated in the first 6 months 1 point something, 1.2, 1.3 million in pipeline, and they managed. They had a very long sales cycle.
Hmm. Hmm.
They managed in the first 9 months to close 3 new clients.
Sounds amazing.
No,
Really
it's
cool
okay.
stuff.
I mean, I always said I prefer to have the results that matter instead of
Hmm.
trying to overpromise and come up with bodacious claims and everything around this very scammy approach. Because bringing in one or two or three clients that are profitable is more important than promising hundreds of clients and not delivering.
Hmm. Or
The client,
delivering the wrong ones.
yeah, the client was happy, and this is the most important part. Obviously, we could have done more, but the client was happy. The relationship continues. This now still continues, and yeah, for us, when the client is happy, we are happy because we know that we delivered the right,
Mhm.
uh, you know,
That's
right
that's
service,
what matters.
right results. So yeah, just to make it shorter, uh, 1 million plus in pipeline, in sales pipeline, and 3 new clients in 9 months. But again,
Hmm.
we are talking about 50,000 per year plus in their sales volumes.
The the value of a contract, essentially. Hmm. Hmm. And because you mentioned, you did a part of the work, then the internal team took over. I'm curious, what's your take? Should Is it better for a company to do so? Let's say they are in the right position to do social selling. The return on investment is positive for them. Um, should they go and look for an expert to help them with social selling? Should they do it in house? What's your take on this?
I think if they want to scale it, it would be better to have some kind of internal team and maybe
Mm-hmm.
some help from an external vendor, like in a position of a consultant or something like this, or to
Mm-hmm.
have a very experienced manager to manage that team and those operations. If you're just starting out, I think it's more efficient to hire somebody that already knows, because
Mm-hmm.
you pay an expert, and that expert comes with a lot of tests, failures, things that they learned doing those things, and you pay that expert not to do the mistakes that you would do if you are if
As a
you're
beginner.
just starting out. Yeah. But yeah, you can also hire a team. You will pay maybe less than you would pay an agency, but you would pay with time and effort,
Mm-hmm.
and fails that probably that team will deliver, because yeah, you maybe don't have that experience.
It's
So
part
if
of the
you're
learning
just starting out,
process.
talk with an expert because they did all the mistakes possible out there, and they will be able to tell you fast first what not to do. And one of the
Mm-hmm.
biggest mistakes, for example, I will give you a very, very simple and basic example. Um, the mistake that I see most often is people trying to do email cold outreach from their main domain. And I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about volume based email cold outreach from their main domain. I think you have stoica.co.
Yeah.
Basically, if you want to send more than I don't know 20, 30 cold outreach emails per day, you should never do it from stoica.co. You should buy some kind of an additional alternative domain like stoica-agency.com. So if you get
Mm-hmm.
flagged as spammy, you will not flag as spam your main domain.
You made them. Mm-hmm.
And this is a mistake I keep seeing is done by people who just starting out with cold outreach, and it can cost you a lot. And an expert can tell you this in about like 5 minutes into the
Mm-hmm.
conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah. And how do you suggest companies to select or how do they figure out that they have an expert standing in front of them and not someone doing just zombie outreach? So what sort of red flags should they look after when speaking with an expert in social selling?
I think there's only one red flag that works like always. If
Mm-hmm.
they promise you things that look too good,
Okay.
is most probably too good to be true. If somebody comes to you and tells you like I will deliver you 1 million in clients in the next 2 months without you doing like anything, that's bullshit. And I
Mm-hmm.
excuse my language. Whenever you hear a bodacious claim. This is the terminology that it was used in this industry. If you hear a bodacious claim, again, that sounds too good to be true, most likely it's too good to be true. A real expert will come and tell you it depends.
Mm-hmm.
Results will not come overnight. We'll have to test some things. Most likely, we will fail some things, and we will learn from those things, and we will try to make it better. And a real expert will never promise you something that's beyond reachable. You have like five people in your team, and you generate, I don't know, 2 clients every 6 months, and they promise you will bring you 2 clients in the next 6 hours. I'm
Mm.
exaggerating, but
Yeah. For
something
the
like.
sake of. Mm-hmm.
And then second red flag is when they are not transparent about their process, about how they do things,
Mm-hmm.
tools they use. Whenever I hear this is our secret sauce and we cannot talk about it, I'm instantly okay. Unfortunately, we'll have to end this conversation and stop here.
Mm-hmm.
Come on,
So that's a
what's
big
the
one.
name of your secret sauce? We all know it. We all know the main tools that you send emails with, the main tools that you send LinkedIn DMs with. We all know the tactics. We all know them. I mean, you don't have a secret sauce. And I can tell you, and I get calls with zombie sellers just to find out and see where the market is, just to stay in touch with the market. And I can tell them your process is this, and they all are always like, how do you know? Because this is not the secret sauce. Tell me about your process. Tell me how you'll get me from what's going on, what is
Mm-hmm.
that we will have to do to the result that I'm expecting to. Tell me each step. Tell me what to expect in each step. Tell me what you'll deliver in each step. Tell me what the milestones are. Don't be like, this is my secret sauce and I cannot tell you about it. Be transparent and tell them. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, these two are the main red flags. And other than this, I think chemistry is also very important because
Yeah.
a relationship with an outsource marketing, lead generation, sales team is like super personal. For example, we have access to almost all our clients' LinkedIn profiles, and you need to trust that people that you'll give the the username and the password to your LinkedIn account, and that person must trust you. It has to be a very very good relationship with. That's why the chemistry it's super important.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think when you're working on a long-term relationship, there has to be trust. It has to be built on trust. Otherwise, it's
Yeah,
not going to
yeah,
work.
yeah. So no bodacious claims. If they promise you things that are too good to be true, probably they are too good to be true. The second one is if they're not transparent about their process and they talk about their secret sauce. And if there is no chemistry, then probably it's not a good idea to start a collaboration with those people.
Hmm.
Other than that, try it out and see exactly where is the point of no return. I'm willing to do a 3 months trial. In 3 months, you kind of see if they
You can figure out.
if if they deliver on the promise, if there is chemistry, if they're bullshitters or not. You kind of see if
Hmm. Hmm.
they're not entirely sure if they are the right people or not. And
Hmm.
try it out. Say like, okay, I'm willing to spend this amount of money or this amount of time to test it out.
Yeah, you have to try it out. Otherwise, it's just guessing. There's no way to tell if it's going to work. So, very good pointers, Claudia. Thank you so much. Do you feel there's something you would like to close with? Something that I didn't ask about, and you feel like, oh, this is something I really want to
I think,
mention?
yeah, when you invited me, I think you said like we should try to aim for 30 minutes, and as far as I see here now, we approach the 1 hour the 1 hour mark.
Mark.
I don't know. I hope I delivered value, and I delivered on on our promise. And I really hope people get out of this podcast at least one or two interesting ideas. And I don't like to give closing statements, but if I were to give one, is to stop looking for shortcuts, because
Hmm.
this is uh, this is just bullshit that is sold to by people who are trying to sell courses and stuff like this. There is no such thing as great results without work. I know it's this trend where people are saying like work smart, not hard, but work smart, not hard means get the most out of the work. It doesn't mean get lazy.
Hmm.
So you
Hmm.
have to put in the work. You have to be as smart as possible with your work, but being smart will never replace doing the work each and every day. And yeah, try to figure out what works and to get better each and every day. I hope it makes sense. But
It does, and it's very well put. So thank you for the pointers, for the case studies, sharing your thoughts. This was really useful for me at least. So I hope for the audience as well. Thank you, Claudio.